All right, Sherri, the floor is all yours whenever you are ready. Sherri, you are all ready to go. You are on mute.
There we go.
There you go.
Helps if I unmute. Hi, everyone. How are you? Me big wave, thumbs up. I am Sherri Smith-Dodgson, and I am your new Follett consultant. A little bit before I get into this, and I've got a lot to go through today. I'm not new to Follett. I was here for a while from 2015 to 2019 and super happy to be back and working with everyone. So kind of like we do in the classroom, I'm going to differentiate my presentation a little bit. I know some people are new to the Media Center and others might have been here for a while, but one thing I do find out is that every time that I do a presentation, even if someone's been in a media center for 10 or 15 years, they come away with something new that maybe they've learned, because we're always trying to update Titlewave and have new things in easier ways for you in the library, especially to be able to manage your collections and your information and get great books out to your teachers and students. So with that, I'm going to just take you through a quick, and I'm not a huge PowerPoint person, so I might go back and forth a little bit on this. And we're going to go live into Titlewave in a minute, but you might be able to see my presentation now. Thumbs up. Stephanie, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So in this presentation, I'm just going to show you some new things, as well as maybe some things you might already know. But one of the things I wanted to start talking about first is, especially for maybe libraries that you're new to, or maybe libraries that haven't been open for a while. One of the things I'm running into coming back after COVID and everything else is libraries might not have been being used for several years. So if you haven't already done a title-wise analysis, I say it's great to get one done. What I found too is sometimes people don't know that you can actually go to Catalog in Destiny, and you can go down to Titlewave there. And from there, you're actually able to submit your collection to do your analysis straight from that back office piece of Destiny. And so that just makes it easier. You don't have to jump in and out of Destiny. You can do it from there. And then, of course, you can jump into Titlewave from here as well with your library materials cart icon and hyperlink. And then that will take you as well into Titlewave, where you can review your analysis. So if you have not done an analysis yet, then what you need to do is after you do it, you can go to your account, Title-wise analysis. And then you're going to pick the first or most recent one to view. And I always say good rule of thumb is to make sure you do one every year, or you do one after a large weeding project as well. And that will definitely show your current data that you need. And so I'm going to take you into Titlewave for a minute, and we're going to drill down the data a little bit. And I'm going to show you some things that we have in Titlewave. So one of the things, and I asked Lisa and Stephanie if we could use one school. So we're going to use Gove Elementary, because I don't have a collection to show. Kind of nice if we had one that maybe, but then we'd have to change it all the time, right? So when I come into my library collection, one of the things that you'll notice here is it's asking you, and we're going to talk about this a little bit about, well, in here it's talking about the other space. Maybe some of you have noticed that there's an other space and a title-wise analysis right now. And I really like that, because one of the things it does is it breaks up that fiction, nonfiction, that kind of siloed, and then it gives you a better overall view of your collection with smaller snippets of data. And so if I click on the other area, it's going
Sherri,
to
we're not seeing what you're clicking.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Thanks for letting me know. It might have been because I switched screens. So let me try again. It was probably because I shifted over a tab.
If you share a tab, you could toggle between them, and it'll tell you at the top to share.
Oh, gosh. Can you see it now? There we go. I swiped it over.
Yeah,
that's
yep. Now we
Can
see
you see
it.
it? Okay. Sorry, I swiped it over. Thank you for stopping me. There's nothing worse than like 15 minutes in and someone says, I didn't see it. So with the other, let me go back a little bit then. So when you're looking at your overall collection, one of the things that you're seeing is, and stop me or move me forward, Stephanie or Lisa, if you guys have gone over this and I'm just repeating myself, that other section. And one of the things I like about the other section is it'll break down some things that make it a little more simple for you also when you weed. And so one of the things that's an industry standard, it's not set by Follett, it's not set by vendors, it's set by actual like library media, is that average age of a collection should be around 5 years or newer. So 2017 is really what we look at as the oldest average that you want to have. Now we know that, you know, the years go on with not as much funding to keep going that direction, you know, as quickly as you'd like to. But one of the big things I also say is weeding is super important and to get that age up, but also taking a look at things like your references. You're in your reference section. If you happen to have stuff that's been replaced by online catalogs, you know, don't be afraid to get rid of that. If you have biographies, you know, that might be a little bit older with people that maybe students aren't going to be asking to read about, then that could be one as well that you take a look at. So I just like the fact that they've taken that and they've kind of broken it out into more than just fiction and nonfiction. And then if you haven't gone through a title-wise analysis as well, one of the nice things is too, you can drill down and cut this data however you want to. And so, and I am more than happy to go into a deeper dive with you. When you know, if you give me a call, we can go through it over video. I can come to you, whatever you'd like to do. But one of the new things that I kind of want to talk about too, and I see you guys have done some of this, is you can actually cut it up by diversity, social emotional learning as well. And that's something that's new too, so that you can really explore those diverse topics. And your collection is obviously going to be different than someone else's collection that's in a different area than you, or has a different student population or learning community than you have. So you can also set your title wise up to give you that as well. I'm trying to think, are there any other questions about the title wise analysis?
I sat in an updated meeting the other day, last week, and they went over how you can change your weeding parameters of the years so that they'll give you a better idea of a title list of the different titles in your collection that can be weeded based off of your settings.
Was it the settings and then going in and putting in goals and objectives?
You can change sort of with the weeding right there, identify your weeding candidates. You can change now the ages that you want them to pull from. So right there, where it says 15 years, your Dewey Decimal, you can now change that now, right? So can you go over that? Because that's something new that we haven't gone over yet.
Sure. And so with like the Dewey classifications, I can edit this. This says 15 years. So if you do want to set this up to change any of that, you can actually see where the average age of your collection is. And then you can see where that aged, it drops back to that age number. So instead of 2017, you're at 2015 right now for your average age of your collection. And so then you can see how you can weed and how you want to get those numbers, get those numbers up. And you can change the numbers based on what your goals are as well. So that is, and are you guys maybe going to have a district goal? I know some of them do. Power Libraries, if anyone's doing Power Libraries, I know this is an amazing tool for Power Libraries. But is there any kind of specific goals or anything that you all have in that? Or after
No,
you did it,
I mean,
we're
definitely trying to get our age higher. But because of, like we said, budgetary issues, there are certain areas and components that you can probably have over, like history, as long as they're in good condition. But something like science, we typically say every 5 years, definitely with science and medical updates and things like that, and technology.
And I think that's really a good time to also look at what are the online resources that you also have that students can get through, Destiny, right? And Destiny Discover. And that way the allocated funds can really focus on other things too. I mean, yes, obviously the print, but definitely, how are you going to maximize all your resources, right? Because then there's a good return on investment from a district perspective of what people are using. And that's really important when the district and state look at funding as well, is really how are they, how is that all being maximized? So you can actually go in and do this. One of the other things I talked with someone about yesterday, someone had sent me a great question about within these settings, when you do the collection overview, it's going to tell you your number of students. So that's really important to start out with. What is your current number of students? Because as learning communities and neighborhoods grow or they decline and the numbers change, so will your number of students. So make sure that you take a look at what your number for your students that are using your collection is and that is current. So I am going to stop sharing for just 2 seconds and I'm going to jump over to Titlewave. Oh, hello, I'm there. Sorry. See what happens when, I've only had 1 cup of coffee for the day. Stephanie, you should have stopped me and said you're already there. So if you don't know already, you can always go to the dolphin. That will reset you for Titlewave. Okay. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is how you can find books in there. And I was going to go back to the presentation, actually. That was my shift of train of thought. But actually, let's just stay in here and go live. So one of the things, especially with the way that we're being asked to look for books now, to, making sure that we know the content in the books and the reviews in the book and the 2 reviews. And one of the things that can really help you is, I'm going to use, for example, if I go to the library and let's say I go to top sellers and I have this whole presentation I'm going to do, and I'll give you guys, I'll shoot it out in a PDF so that you have it. And let's say that I go to top sellers for elementary. So there's a couple of things I really want to show you. If you're new, one of the things that Titlewave does is it gives you, it talks to Destiny. So they communicate. And so you'll see this little red square here. And that means that you have that title already in your collection. So when you are looking at books to purchase, it's already going to give you a heads up of what you have and what you don't have. Sometimes you might see that in an orange, and that means that you're going to have that in a different binding. So this one is in a Follett bound glued. If it was in a hardcover, that would be orange. It would appear to be orange. If you see it in a gray, that means that maybe it's the similar title. Sometimes there's exact titles, just different, different authors, different books, but same titles. So that'll give you a heads up as well. And then there's also a blue one. And a blue one means, especially if you're working in multiple lists, and I'm always like, listen, keep a running tally of what kids are asking for in a list. And then also, as you come up with things or teachers are asking, and you can always merge lists as well. So it makes it really easy to do. So as I come down here, there's a couple of different things that I want to show you. One of the things is when I'm searching, there's different ways that I can search. So right now I'm in top sellers and I'm looking at series. Okay. So if I'm looking at a series, this is going to show me books that are already in a series. One of the things that's really cool with Titlewave is it'll automatically tell you not only what books do you have, but let's see if I scroll down here, it's going to show me really easily how to complete my series. So especially if kids are asking for the next book or you want the next piece of a series to complete the collection, we can go down here and we can actually explore that series and it'll tell you if you already own it. So these are already owned, but if I didn't own one of these titles, this would not be here. Or it might say you might own this, meaning that it might just be in a different binding, which is a different ISBN number. So this is a really simple way for you to take a look at books in your collection and know where maybe the gaps are. Maybe you took one out of circulation because, you know, during inventory, you realized it crawled out of the library and didn't come back. And so you need to replace that book. It will show you that you no longer have that book if you have taken it out of inventory. So that's one great way to be able to search. Another way is when I'm up here, and this one I searched by series, but maybe I want to, first of all, know that I need to do reviews and awards. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, I need to look for books that only have reviews and awards. So I'm going to look for numbers of reviews and awards. One thing we've done to make it a little easier to knowing that now everyone's really having to look at that is that it used to be that if it was only in a Follett bound, it would pull up the reviews and award. And now it will pull it up for any book at the top. So whatever binding is at the top of that search, you're going to see that it has the full text and reviews. So before you kind of had to whittle down and try to figure out which binding would have the review on it for you. Now it's all there. So it shows you this is a best of Titlewave as well, but it has 9 full text reviews. And so when I go in, I can take a look and I can see those reviews and see who they're from. One of the other things that we've added to that as well that they didn't do before is also making sure that not only do we have like lower elementary and reading level, but also kind of looking at some information from the publishers or from the reviews. So there can be differences in ages within a grade, you know, and especially when we look at middle schoolers or high schoolers. And so now we're taking a look at what's the recommended age from different reviews. So, you know, for this, it would be ages 7 to 9 from Kirkus. School Library Journal has it from 2 to 5. And then you can read those full text reviews and see, you know, your thoughts on those. Another thing is when you look at these, one of the things that we also and feel is really important is knowing and supporting learning objectives. And so if you know that a teacher's, you know, working on something within a book or within a theme or whatever, you can also take a look at what learning objectives are supported in this. So your learning focus by using the tags. So narrative nonfiction, picture books for older readers, STEM and space, library classifications, and then common genre and topics. So using the tags on this back end when you've done a search on a book is one thing. Also the curriculum guides. A lot of publishers will give you curriculum guides that go along with titles. One of the things that we've also added is when you go into your orders, let's say you ordered a book 3 years ago, you go into the order history in Titlewave and you click on that order for that time. They've already just back-ended these curriculum tags into there. It used to be that you had to look for the resources before you bought the book or go back into Titlewave to find the resources. Now you can just go to your old previous orders and it will have the downloads there. And so those are nice things to either offer you activities that can be done in the library, things to send out to your media specialists. I love to talk about Destiny Discover on the front end and talk about like marketing your library. And that can be a whole nother one next time we chat of really marketing your library with collections and things like that, so that you're really not only giving good book information out, but you're also saying, here's things that support that book. And so, especially if teachers have choice boards or things like that happening, you can throw those in for the students. And one of the other things that I can show you is, let's go back and let's look by tags. So we can search by tags. So if I go to top sellers and I go to Tag Explorer, – that's also a nice way to be able to really go and look at what it is that you want to find. So these are top sellers in elementary. Let's say I want to look at humorous books. I have some kids that have just thought those were great. So I can go in and take a look at what is offered within that. It gives me even more tags that align with that. So Asian American graphic novels and realistic fiction, that also goes along with that humor. So you're getting an abundant amount of information in one space with an overall glance that then you can just drill down and decide how you want to dice up that information. The other thing is, let me go back to that series. There was one other.
And Sherri, you guys have sort of fixed all your ordering problems and issues that some of us have sort of ran into the last couple of years, correct?
Yes. So we are definitely getting books out a lot faster now. And from what I understand, there was some issue with paper with the labeling. And of course, we work with library, so everyone usually gets processing. And so that has been fixed. They have a new vendor, multiple vendors, I think, or that has been fixed. They're working, of course, on catching up. It's going out. Our fulfillment rates are a lot faster now. And that brings up a really great point. One of the things I say, and I'm going to show you this and then remind me, I need to one more point on that. When students are looking for specific books, they like a specific, kind of book. Down here, you'll see the similar items you may also own. So if some kids get stuck on series, I'm not going to go back into the series, but if some kids get stuck on a certain series, you can also look down here for similar items they may also enjoy. It's going to pop them up based on that title or series that they're really into. And then that'll give you the opportunity to suggest or find books that maybe you can kind of nudge them outside of that one focus that they kind of get into. One of the other things is when you are doing your lists, you know how you can put the do not exceed amount in there to create a list. So when you create your list and you put in the do not exceed amount, I suggest always ordering, and this helps with fulfillment. I always suggest ordering 10 to 20, even right now, 20% more than what your budget or what your number is that you're going to spend on that PO. So if I have $1,000 that I know I'm going to spend, I'm going to put 1,000 in the do not exceed amount, and then I can order extra, but we are not going to exceed whatever your PO is when we're fulfilling. Here's the other thing and the tricks to look for. You're always going to want more books than probably you have your budget for. So if I have my budget of $1,000, maybe I look and build my list at $1,200. So one of the things I want to do though is, I really need this book, Moonshot. I need it for a teacher a teacher request and maybe students or something. I need it. So I'm going to go in, and when I add this to my list, I'm actually going to mark it as first choice. So that means when we're fulfilling that we're not going to skip this book and wait for it to come from the publisher. And if we have it in stock, and even if we don't have it in stock, we're not going to skip it to find another book. So that is, and we had a big conversation yesterday about fulfillment and really pushing our fulfillment even more. SSYRAs is something interesting because I know with SSYRA titles, what happens is they keep them locked up. So we don't know the lists, and then the publishers kind of get bombarded all of a sudden because their book's on a list. And so that sometimes makes it a little harder. So those are some things that we're working on as well. But definitely if you do the 10 to 15% over, you also look for what we currently have in stock. We used to not do this. And so this is a great thing to know as well. There's 10 in stock. So your chances of getting that fulfilled quickly is going to be greater. So those are just little tricks that you can do while you're ordering as well. And another thing is when you do order and you have an order out there, you can always see your order in your orders in Titlewave. So you'll actually see when we've received your PO, everything's updated. We've received your PO. You'll see when we're processing your order, so it's been fulfilled, we've picked it from the shelves and now we're processing it. You'll see when it's been shipped. You'll see the tracking number there. And then you'll see, when it's complete. You'll also see what books do possibly end up on a back order, or sometimes publisher out of stock. And so I always recommend making sure you look at your orders, to make sure the PO went through, because sometimes, that happens. And then also follow and track your order. So once in a while, pop in and just, if you've placed an order, just check and see. And then once you receive the order, you'll also have any of those teacher guides and curriculum.
All right. Things. So because of time, it's all right. There's so much information. We'll definitely be inviting you back to talk some more. But right now, just sort of, is there any questions about Titlewave or anything that Sherri went over this afternoon that anybody would like to ask? So we have a question in the chat that says, how do I change the number of students again in Titlewise?
And I was just going to go back to that, and I just lost my page. There we go. All right. Oh, I had clicked on something. So when you go into your account and you go down to Titlewise analysis and you go to view, you're going to see where it says settings. So you're going to click on settings, and then about your library collection, you can click on edit, and then you can go in and add that in. So there you would just fix the number, and then you would, and this is where you can set your goals as well. So like Stephanie was talking about, you can set your goals on how you want so many items per student. One of the things I also talk about is don't be afraid to have a lower number of items per student if they're good books. Right. I say kiddos are not clearance rack shoppers. They don't want to take the time, nor do they have the time usually, because their classroom teacher is like, time to go, get in line. And so therefore, sometimes it just makes it really, really easy. Yes, quality over quantity for sure.
Right. So like Sherri said, and then also sort of what we went over last week, and Lisa's providing with you again your deadlines to become a Florida Power Library. There are many, many, many district libraries that are doing such a fabulous job. We suggest you apply, go through the process, and just continue doing the great work. If you have any questions, please reach out to Lisa. If you missed our Topical Tuesday, was it last week or the week before? I think the week before, there is a recorded session on Florida Power Libraries. If you have any questions or you didn't get a chance to watch that for you. As always, please join EMA, especially right now. We're getting ready for our FAME conference, and the dates is sort of, we're getting close. We're in November 1st, so at the end of the month through December, there's still time to register. If you are coming to FAME, please reach out. There was a survey, that way we know who's coming. And I think we're in second place now, if I'm correct, right, Lisa? I think there's one county is ahead of us with the most media specialists joining them. So we need more so we can be in first place. So reach out to your administration to see if you can get the time off, and please join us. It's a great time. Always tag us in what you're doing. We love looking at it. We love seeing it. We love sharing it with you guys. So please continue to reach out to us. And if you have not already, register in our e-learning so that you can get points if you need points for this class. And all the accumulating work for everything is in the follow-up documents inside there in e-learning. Okay, so what's coming up next? Like Sherri said, and she was a great segue into our next session, we're actually going to continue with Follett and now have 3 separate different sessions on Destiny Discover. We know the beginnings, right, of Destiny Discover. We're going to dive deeper and sort of become experts on everything we can do with Decking Discover and how we can push and sell our libraries to our students. And that's our next few sessions coming up. Other than that, thank you for joining us. We will stay on a little bit after for anybody that has any specific questions that they want to ask before signing off today. Otherwise, have a great afternoon. And as always, thank you for joining us.